This is Two Dudes and a Six Pack with your hosts, Grayson and Chris.
Tight, yeah!
That's good.
Join us as we cover a six-pack of topics from booze
Excellent.
to pop culture.
Inconceivable!
So, pull up a chair and crack open a beer as we discuss the best
Here's to feeling good all the time.
of the worst.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
Well, greetings, everyone. Welcome back to another podcast episode of Two Dudes and a Six Pack. And before we get right into everything, I'm just going to introduce you right to my good friend and yours, Chris.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back.
And so we're doing kind of we got St. Patrick's Day coming up. We got March Madness coming up. We got a whole bunch of just random early spring, winter's dying coming up. So we're going to cover a whole bunch of topics today. And but first, as always, we want to get into the brewskis or the drinks or whatever. So, Chris, what kind of drinks you got today?
So I picked up 3 beers that I haven't ever had before. I've got 2 from Michigan, 1 from Arcadia Ales, and another from North Peak Brewing Company, and then a macro. I got the Shock Top, which if anybody remembers Shock Top, it's a Budweiser brand, I think, right?
Yes,
I think
I believe you're correct.
And like when it first came out, everybody thought this was just like a regular microbrew, because it had totally different marketing and the bottle was very different. So the first one I'm going to do today is the Shock Top Ruby Fresh Grapefruit.
Okay.
It's a Belgian style wheat ale.
That could be interesting, yeah.
It could be, yeah. So I wasn't a hater of Shock Top. I was more disappointed when I realized that it was a macro masquerading as a micro. That's kind of where I was.
I think that it actually originally started as its own thing, and then they bought them out.
Oh, it might. Yeah, that's probably more accurate. Yep.
Because I think they wanted they wanted to compete with like Coors's the Blue Moon kind of group, and I think that was one of the first things they brought in, because the Shock Top original one is like that wheat beer that is right along the same lines of a regular Blue Moon. So I think they wanted to be like, all right,
they needed something too.
Yeah.
So I'm a sucker for this grapefruit stuff.
Yeah.
It's been a while, it's been around in the beer world for a while. Leinenkugel, no surprise, threw another shandy out there.
Yeah.
With some great. I think my favorite one, if I'm off topic for a second, is the Perrin Grapefruit IPA. That was the first one that I had really tried.
Okay.
And that one was really good, but I think it's like a decent one. The other one is Ballast Point. They do a really good one.
Yeah, the Sculpin IPA.
Sculpin. Yeah.
That one's really fantastic. Good. Yeah.
So this isn't an IPA, which is good, but it is got that sort of grapefruit stuff in it. So let's see here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna drink it straight out of the bottle. That's not bad, actually.
Nice.
It's light. It's kind of like you were kind of hinting at spring around the corner. This is kind of giving me a little bit of hope with the cold weather that's still, blustering outside there.
Okay.
But the grapefruit is really subtle. It's more like it's kind of like a decent wheat ale with just a very subtle hint of the grapefruit, beneath it. So they didn't really do that bad of a job with this one. I honestly would probably pick this one up again for like a beach day or something. Hey, if it was in a can, that'd be my suggestion to Shock Top. Can the stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And actually take it to the beach.
I feel they have to have that in a can form, wouldn't you think?
I would hope so. But yeah, it actually, the grapefruit does even kind of taste fresh.
Nice.
For people that have had like that Leinenkugel, it tastes fake.
Right.
It's a weird grapefruit. But this one is not bad. I kind of dig it.
Have you ever had I don't know if it's Stiegel or Stiegel. It's a German brand, and they have a grapefruit Radler. That one is actually one of my favorite just summertime, if you want something crisp, beers. I absolutely love that one. And it's available in
Nice.
the 16 or 18 ounce cans. So I highly recommend anybody to check that out. Like, it's an official,
Haven't had it.
it's an actual Radler. So it's not, which is like the original kind of cocktail. And that's what the shandy's that's what a shandy basically is. But it's actually, it's fan-freaking-tastic.
Nice. I'll keep an eye out for it. I have not had that one yet.
Okay, yeah. Definitely check it out if you can. I mean, it's in Michigan because that's where I've had it. But, so I went, for my beers, I was thinking St. Patrick's Day stout, but I didn't want to do the normal stout that we all drink during St. Patrick's Day. So I was kind of looking for other ones to try. And originally I was going to try to get like a whole bunch of just nitrogen stouts, but then the places I went to, they didn't really have that. So they scratched that idea. So I just went with a bunch of random stouts. And
Nice.
the first one I'm trying is a peanut butter milk stout from Sleepy Dog Brewing Company, which is located in Tempe, Arizona. And if you know me, I'm not a giant fan of Arizona beer. At least the ones I've had, it's very warm weather based, which kind of limits, your stouts. So, but I saw this,
Right.
I was like, I'll give it a whirl, and I'll read. Well, let me crack this. Okay, last time I cracked open a canned beer on this show, it exploded all over the microphone, and we had all sorts of problems. If you recall I don't remember what
Yes,
beer I
the
had.
disaster.
Yeah.
Right.
So I just poured it. I'm gonna let it sit for a second. On the side of the can, it says, "We've paired the flavors of rich chocolate malt and creamy peanut butter with our velvety smooth milk stout. We couldn't be
All right.
happier with the end result. We know you'll love it too. Enjoy." And it's got a Dalmatian with peanut butter all over its face, and it's licking it. So, and it's
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it is okay. So it's Sleepy Dog Brewing Company. So okay, maybe I'm guessing that the beer company is just named after somebody's Dalmatian.
Yeah. You know what? I think some people might be turned off by the peanut butter, but I've actually had some ones that are actually decent
Yeah.
that use it.
I feel like if you have a nice milk or chocolatey stout, peanut butter can go really well with it. But all right, so it's poured. Let's see what this tastes like.
Right.
I mean, it's okay. You definitely maybe a hint more malty than I would have wanted it to be for like a milk stout. Let me get some more of that.
Yeah, the milk stouts that I've had, I usually stick with the left hand milk
Yeah.
stout, but they're usually really creamy and good.
Yeah, this one doesn't have much of the creamy. Maybe that's because of the peanut butter. The actual peanut butter flavor is very subtle, if even there at all. If nobody told you it was a peanut butter stout, you might not even connect it. It's almost like they kind of dipped a Reese's Pieces in it just for a second and pulled it out.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's not terrible. It's drinkable. I've had worse, so, and I've had a lot better. So I mean,
Right.
it is what it is. It's whatever. My biggest gripe, if I can even, it's not even with the beer. So I got this. It's in can form, and they have that stupid sticker over the can. I hate that.
Oh yeah, that's always it's kind of annoying.
It's like you guys you couldn't just print an actual label. You guys just slap a sticker on it. Like,
It just looks cheap.
it's super cheap. And I've actually had canned beers before where I pulled the label off and they had like a different beer label on it. I mean, from the same company, but like the previous. It's like, really? You guys just printed too many cans, so you're just slapping stickers on it now?
Yep. Yep.
I'm sorry, and it's weird. I feel like some of the best just beer labeling is on Mexican beers because it's all painted on the label. I love the painted labels, and there's just for all the issues we might have with Mexican beers, I think they got some of the best labels, just straight up.
I would agree. This shock top that I'm drinking has got the fake painted label. So it's like
Oh,
the sticker, but it's clear and
right.
looks like it's painted on, but it's like on closer inspection, it's like no, it's masquerading as a painted bottle.
Kind of like it's masquerading as a micro beer.
Exactly, exactly.
Oh
We're on to
man.
you, Glider.
Yeah, we're on to you. I don't even think Rogue really does the painted on anymore because I think
Oh
the
man,
I
that's a
think
bummer.
Dead Guy Ale, which was one of like the first. I know you showed it to me, way back in the day, and that was one of the
Yeah.
first real like micros that we were getting into. Was that Dead Guy?
That guy, I wish I could kind of recall the year when we were drinking that, but it's changed. It's still the recipe is somehow different. I had one recently, and it's like it just isn't as good as when we found it that first time. Those
Yeah.
first few batches of Dead Guy were actually really good,
Oh
and yeah, the
yeah.
bottle was pretty sweet too.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite bottle designs probably ever.
Oh yeah, it has like that almost Day of the Dead style skeleton. Like, wasn't he like sitting on a barrel or something like that?
Yeah, yep.
Oh man, they do actually. They put that out in cans now, and I actually like their can because it's like a matte black can, so
Nice.
it doesn't really reflect as much light. But I think the skeleton is actually like a sheeny skeleton, so it's got this nice kind of like it's like the gimmicky football helmet you got in college football now.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Actually, I think the bottles they originally glowed in the dark, which was kind of sweet.
oh yeah,
They had
oh
that glow in the
man,
dark paint.
that's so. If the light in your fridge dies, you can still find your beer. That
Right,
is
right.
that is crucial, man. That is oh man. But speaking of gimmicky and stuff with college sports, we have a feeling there's going to be a lot of other college athletics that could use some beers, and they might be dead guys too. But so we figure since we're getting into March, we'd hit up March Madness a little bit, and this March Madness promises to be a little extra maddening than in previous years with all these crazy. FBI stuff going on. It is nuts.
They got wiretaps. People are like, the FBI is like listening in on conversations right now. It's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. Which is, it's like, I know people are thinking like, why in the world is the FBI getting involved with college basketball? But it's like Capone stuff where you get like $100,000 transferring to other people and no one's paying taxes on it. It's always taxes that screws people over. That's
Right.
It's like if you got to money launder that stuff, man. You've got to make it clean.
You gotta make that. You gotta like watch the Ozarks with Jason Bateman and figure out how to launder that stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I started. Is that show good? I think I'm through like the first episode, but then I got sidetracked. So
I liked it.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a fan. I like him as an actor,
Uh-huh.
and it had a little bit of some like white collar Breaking Bad aspects to it.
Okay.
It's not quite Breaking Bad. I mean, that's such a high bar to like even hit.
Right.
But yeah, it was good. I watched the first season, and I dug it. I thought
Okay.
it was good.
Yeah, I've been meaning to like get back because I watched the first episode and I was like, okay, I'll watch more, and then I don't know. I think I'll just watch the Parks and Recreation from beginning to end again.
Right, right.
But
But yeah, this NCAA stuff, you've got like two sides of the argument. I've been hearing the pundits that are claiming that there's a fundamental problem with the system. You've got these amateur athletes that are playing in a multi-million, maybe billion-dollar industry if you kind of add it all together.
mhm.
And they're apparently, I'm going to put this in quotes, not getting paid.
Right.
I say this in quotes because what is the tuition nowadays?
Well, that's the thing.
Like they got free rides to these schools.
And that's
They're
the-
not cheap.
And it's not just so like if I out of the state of Michigan, if I would have gone to because I was applying to USC, it's Southern California, and like tuition with room and board was going to be about $50,000 a year. So
Here,
yeah,
it's just like a regular job, right?
yeah,
I
yes.
mean, that's like an entry-level job. Sure, it's not pro basketball numbers.
Right, and that's just beginning. You have basically all your food taken care of, and that training table food is insane now.
Oh
It's
yeah.
so you got crazy food. You have all the shoes and athletic gear you want to get take advantage of. You have so
Depending
much.
on where you're at, the best like medical staff,
Yeah,
athletic trainers,
yeah. You can get
keeping you.
surgery taken care of. All I mean, granted, some of that surgery is based on what you're doing on the when you're playing. But when you add
Yeah.
everything up, you're getting you're probably getting close to 150, 200. I mean, probably $150,000 worth of stuff every year, or maybe
Easy.
even if you just did $100,000, it's like okay, so after 4 years, you got almost $500,000 worth
And
of
now,
stuff.
and here's the rub too with these guys, because I mean, you grew up in the East Lansing area.
Hmm.
And I went to school there. Michigan State's they've had a good program for a long time. These guys walk into anywhere and drinks are comped, food's comped. I mean, the benefits that aren't even on the table from like the university
Right,
these guys are getting. So like it's tough for me to kind of swallow this argument that these are unpaid amateurs. It's
right.
like they've got they've got plenty. Hey, if I was talented enough to make one of these squads, what am I going to complain about? Why do I have to game the system even more? Is it up to me if the university's making millions off of like my talents? I
Right.
really don't see it that way, because if I'm good enough, I'm going to make it to the next level, and I'm going to make it all back up anyways.
Right. And it's not like, so let's say, when we're super huge and famous for making movies and everything, you better dang well believe that the schools we went to will be claiming us hardcore.
Oh,
And will be
absolutely,
like,
yeah.
so it just, some things take a little longer, you know. You're a college athlete. Even if you go to the professional levels, you'll probably be done by the time you're 30. But they're showing your picture everywhere. But then in other professions, you don't get huge until you're in your mid 30s or later. And it just kind of
Right.
they will be showing your faces and be like, well, this person went to school here, and will be so it's just all it just takes different lengths of time. But yeah, so and they'll try to make money off of whoever schools will try to make money off of whoever they can. So
Oh, for sure. And I heard somebody else talking about this. I think it was probably on like ESPN radio or something like that. But what people don't realize with this is, okay, let's say you crack down on what's arguably a very corrupt NCAA men's college basketball program by virtue of how popular March Madness is. Let's
Right.
just assume that you clean the program up. Okay. How many other sports are going to be harmed by this? And this kind of sounds like an argument about like, does the harm outweigh the benefit? And it kind of is, but like, we're not taking this into consideration. We always just jump and do a knee-jerk reaction, and it's like everybody's all up in arms saying, "Oh, it's wrong. The system's broken." But I'm sorry, but if you go to like Alabama University and you're on the fencing team there, the football program is paying for you to be on that fencing program.
right, yeah, yeah,
In a secondarily kind of way. The money that program brings in, it doesn't just fund the football program. It buys the doctors, it buys the facilities, it buys, everybody, all the stuff.
right,
You start cracking down on it, and I mean, you're talking about like college sports just being changed fundamentally in general.
right, yeah,
And I mean, I don't have a good answer for that, but I don't think anybody's really kind of talking about what this is actually going to do. We're all
right.
just focused on college basketball right now.
Yeah, and people will say, "Oh, you need to pay the players. You need to give them like a stipend or whatever." So okay, so maybe you are initially considering, okay, so we give the basketball players $5,000 a year or whatever
Right.
as a stipend. The thing is, because of a thing called like Title IX, you have to pay every single athlete in the university $5,000. That means the curling team, they get $5,000. You know how much money? I mean, you probably have at least 1,000 athletes on campus with
Oh, yeah.
all your sports. I mean, that is a lot of money. And I think only like 5% of all athletic departments actually make money. Most of them are funded partially by the school. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
and so that's another, I'm not even going to do the math, but however much you want to pay them, it's a lot of money that most universities just can't afford to pay it. So you might end up, if that passes, you might see a lot of schools dropping their secondary, programs. Like, okay, we can't afford women's gymnastics and men's hockey or whatever. It's just we can't afford to pay everybody like that. So
Right.
I feel like once you do that, then you're an issue. And there's other people like, well, just okay, so have them considered employees of the university. And so people think that it's
right.
like, okay, but then you have to pay taxes on the everything you're getting. You think these kids, they already don't have enough money. How are they going to pay taxes on this like $100,000 worth of stuff that they're getting annually?
Seriously.
It's
Yeah.
like, so now you got
There's-
to pay them like 30 grand just to cover taxes. So
There's no way.
yeah,
There's no way. And the thing is, it's not going to stop the problem. You
Right.
know, like paying the athletes, and maybe this is where I'm kind of going off the rails a little bit, because the solution that seems to be kicked around is, oh, well, if we paid the athletes, then we wouldn't have this level of corruption. And I completely disagree with that.
right.
It would just rear its head in a different kind of form. Like, you cannot tell me that guys like, and I'm just going to throw them under the bus, even though like they haven't gone through the whole judicial process yet, but you just know that they're scumbags.
Mm-hmm.
But like Rick Pitino and Calipari and the dude now from, I think, what is it, Arkansas State or something like that, Arizona State, the guy that's on the wiretap.
Oh, Arizona. Yeah, University of Arizona. Sean Miller.
Yeah, Sean Miller. I mean, these guys are they're going to keep doing the same things that they've always been doing.
Right.
It's not going to like really solve the problem. At least I just don't see it. I don't see this as really going that far.
I actually heard probably the best idea I've heard was you have to create basically an alternative minor league system for basketball and basically for basketball and for football. Because if you look at baseball and hockey, there's already a secondary minor league team where if you don't want to go to college and you just want to jump right into, maybe you get like 40 grand a year, you have that opportunity to just kind of skip college, jump in there, and maybe you eventually make it to the pros. So you have that option, and you don't have the problem of paying players, because if they want to make money right off the bat, they have that.
You just go in that league.
They can do that. But with
Yeah.
basketball and with football, you don't have that. I mean, football might be, you could probably do some kind of minor league football system for guys that just are either can't get into college, that they don't want to go to college, or they're too dumb to go to college. And I know that sounds terrible, but I knew people that, from East Lansing high school I went to, they had like Division I scholarships to Nebraska, but they didn't have the grades to get into.
Right, they
and
couldn't
if
get
you
in
don't
there.
have grades to get in when they're basically helping you, that's because you just basically didn't go to class, or you're a complete idiot. There's one of the two. And
Exactly.
so you have these secondary options, and then that would.
I think McMahon's XFL could be a minor league option then,
Yeah.
under that kind of a system.
That's an option, yeah. And then for the basketball, no matter how much I despise this guy or just can't stand him, but the ball guy, the Lorenzo.
Oh yeah, Lons.
I can't
Lamar,
remember.
right?
Yeah,
LeVar.
LeVar. Yeah, he wants to do like a minor league basketball thing for guys out of high school that just don't want to go to college right away. And so it's like, honestly, I think the amount of money he wants to pay him is probably little. He wants to pay everybody it's like, I don't think you'll ever be able to do that, because then you need television deals and everything to pay for that kind of cash. But
Right.
realistically, that would solve the problem for these guys that want to get paid right away, but no, they have to go to college for a year or two. And it's hard to make somebody go to college for like 2 years when they don't want to be there. And
Yeah, and I think it harms the. I hate calling it the product of college basketball, but I mean, you kind of hear that,
Right.
if you listen to it, and it is a bit of a product, but it harms the what draws you into a collegiate athletic event.
Right.
You know, like I mean, I'm a Michigan State fan, and I have been for a long time. And this has been a weird year for state fans in basketball
It's
and
been
football and just sports in
a
general.
very odd year, yes.
Yeah, to say the least. And you know, but it's so weird because okay, even if you took out all of the giant issues that are still hanging above everybody in this program,
Right.
and you just let's just reset it, same team, no crazy issues. Is it still going to be that same team in a year from now? It's not, because these guys are going to leave, and they're going to be, you know, coaches just constantly have to keep filling these holes up
Yeah.
for these kids. Like it's not so much about it's about winning the championship that year only.
Right.
Like what? There's no dynasty stuff happening at the college level, not like what maybe there used to be.
Hmm.
Kids don't come back and try to win a championship again. They win one and are just like, great, I'll see you later. You know, I'm gonna cash in my multi-million-dollar NBA deal.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. Basically, I think you get these minor league systems and they bring out the guys that would just bounce in a year or two, and maybe that solves everything. Solves,
Maybe.
or maybe
knows?
it just reduces the issue a little bit. But
Yeah. Well, who you got going through? Michigan's got a good team this year too.
honestly, it's hard to really say until we get the exact brackets because a lot of times it's just matchups.
Yeah, matchups
are
are going to be key.
crucial. Yeah, I like Michigan. Michigan's a hard team to prepare for because their offense is so intricate. Like if you're not in the same conference as them and you have to face them after like one day off, you're basically screwed. Because if you looked at the year they went to the championship game, of course, Louisville had to, take their banner down the year that they won because Rick Pitino was paying prostitutes and everything. So, of course, Michigan's not going to get that banner because of whatever. That's a different, well, maybe, but
That's just like so sour though.
yeah,
I can't even imagine.
yeah. But anyways, if you looked at whenever they would play teams on like the beginning of that a week, where you play like that team on a Thursday, where you had a whole week to prepare. All those games were very close. They'd win by like 4 or 6, whatever. But then the games 2 days later, they'd win by like 20. And it's just because you can't prepare for some of that stuff. So it really kind of depends on who they play the first day versus who they play 2 days later. So
For me, man, everybody is at least around the Michigan area, right? We're all just singing State's praises, number 2 in the nation, all this other stuff. They've kind of had a garbage year, if I gotta say it. They've had some weird wins.
yeah,
They didn't even look that great today against Wisconsin.
right.
And there was a stretch where they just barely hung on by like a bucket.
And it's the
against-
weirdest thing where if you look at who State played in league, they only played each of the top 5 teams once, all of them. So just like, how did you guys manage that? Like,
I don't know.
You played Purdue once, you played Michigan once, you played Ohio State once. It's like, what?
I like I mean, Homer, you know, fan here obviously, so I'm going to be rooting heavily for State, but it is going to depend on the bracket for me.
Right.
But I'll tell you what, anybody that's not paying attention to Michigan is making a huge mistake. This is a team that beat Ohio State and Michigan State and almost beat Purdue. I think they almost beat
Yeah,
Purdue.
they lost to Purdue by like 2 or 3 points both times. It's just like,
Right. They're one of these like scary teams, and I really do feel like you know, it will kind of boil down to where they get seated and who else is in that bracket, but I think that team can pretty much stand toe to toe with anybody in the country.
Yeah. And it should be interesting. I mean, you got some games in Detroit this year, so maybe
Oh yeah, right.
you should go check them out. If I'm sure State will be in Detroit for the first 2 games.
I mean, it's right. They're gonna do that. The NCAA is not gonna just like kick them out to California.
Right.
I doubt it.
Right.
For better or for worse, they kind of, you know. TV ratings.
Right, and
are
they want
high,
some people actually in the crowd. So it's
Yeah,
like,
they do.
Just, okay, Detroit, just go.
Make it basically a home game for like the 15 seed that's playing them.
Yeah, yeah. Why can't we have any games in Hawaii? It's just like that would make no sense, but whatever. Just
Right,
throw them a bone.
exactly.
Just throw them a bone.
Yeah.
But all right, man. What is unless you got anything else to say about the NCAA? What are you doing for your second brewski?
All right, second brewski. I'm split here. I don't know what to do next. I did a little bit of a fruity thing in the beginning. I might save this other one that I've got for the end.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go with my favorite thing, Cheap Date Session Ale. This is from Arcadia Ales. So it's a session, which means it doesn't have as much like ABV
Right.
in it. I'm trying to figure out.
Why do they call it a
What kind
session? If it's like
I think it's
because you can just drink a ton of it, or
yeah. Like it's not gonna just like hammer you over the head.
okay.
But what I don't even know what this thing is. Session ales they're usually like IPA based, aren't they?
I have no idea. I don't know if it's just a blanket term that you use for lower, ABV stuff.
It definitely smells hoppy. It definitely smells like pretty much like what it is. I guess I should look that up. What a session ale actually kind of means.
Here, I can
I've
do
always
that.
taken it to mean like a lower ABV hoppy beer is kind of
Yeah.
what I think it is.
Well, I'll look that up, and then you can, while you're drinking it and giving us the what you think.
That's definitely what it tastes like. It's got a you know what is interesting at least about this beer is the end of it has some sort of floral notes that remind me a bit, not spot on obviously, but a bit like that Belgian beer we liked.
Okay. The Orville or
Yeah, the Orville.
okay.
Yep. A very hint of this Orville Trappist floral notes at the end of this beer on this cheap date, which is making this actually really interesting for me because I kind of like it. I mean,
Okay.
Orville's a great beer.
Yeah.
This is sort of like a cheap, watered down version of that, so I'm sort of torn. But at
Uh-huh.
the same time, it's like I wasn't expecting the sort of floral notes there, so I kind of like it.
Okay, nice. And for what is a session beer according to beeriety.com, it's a session beer is a beer low in alcohol with can be consumed in large quantities, blah blah blah, without feeling intoxicated. That usually means the beer is between 3 and 5% alcohol by volume, which means all your Budweisers and Bud Lights are session beers.
They're all session beers.
Yeah.
So if I look this up, I looked up Arcadia Cheap Date Session Ale. Beer Advocate is classifying this as a pale gold ale
Okay.
with fine white head and a gorgeous aroma mirrored by its flavor, overlooked with tropical citra hops, citrusy Simcoe hops, and a malty balance. I don't know really about all that, but it's definitely got for anybody that's had that Trappist Orville, it's got that it's in that neighborhood.
Okay. Well, I interest me like that. I like the that kind of floral thing. But I think this part's interesting. So on the same website, it goes back into where the term session beer came from. And it comes from World War I Britain, when munition workers worked long, hard hours to make ammunition, and they were given short session breaks, which would be a couple hours, where they usually spend it drinking at a local pub. And knowing that they'd have to go back working with ammunition, they needed beers that wouldn't get them tanked. So they called these beers session beers because there's enough to keep drinking for a couple hours and not be super intoxicated when you go back to pack bullets. So... So there you go.
There you go.
Again, world history is beer history. Just remember that.
Actually, kind of true too. I like that.
Yeah. But so okay, one last thing about this peanut butter milk stout. When you smell it, it definitely smells like peanut butter. Like, and when I lift it up to my glass, you can really get that peanut buttery kind of aroma, but you don't get much of the taste.
Yeah, okay.
So I mean, there's a little bit in there, but it's not like.
It's interesting.
But all right, so the next one I got is another Arizona beer. It is the Grand Canyon Brewing Company Coffee Bean Stout, and they call this
Okay.
the flavor bomb feature inside. I don't know what that means, but trying to figure out where in Arizona this is actually made. Williams, Arizona. Don't know where that is. It's in Arizona, but it's it's one of the larger glass bottles. It's 1 pint, 6 fluid ounces, but it's got like the wax dipped top over the which is kind of annoying. I gotta pull this wax off. God damn it! So you can't just pop the label or the bottle. You gotta rip through wax. All right, just a second.
I appreciate the extra effort for the wax top, but sometimes it's not really that necessary.
Yeah. Like, you got the wax for the Maker's Mark bottles, but even then, I feel like you can still open it without spending 10 hours removing the wax.
Right.
I think I got enough wax off to. All right. Let's see if this. Let's pour this. See if this is worthy of having a wax top on it, anyways.
It's a bold move for a beer to put the wax top on.
Yeah. It's kind of a pain.
Got to be good, or else it's just gonna be laughable.
Yeah. Now you're just churching it up for no reason.
Right.
They do say it's a legendary brewery. The Grand Canyon Brewing Company is located in historic downtown Williams, Arizona, the gateway to the Grand Canyon. Stop in next time you're near the southern rim. So it's not really a legendary brewery. It's just a brewery next to the Grand Canyon.
Right. Right.
So, but there is a very large head when you poured this thing. I didn't pour it like a sap like I do sometimes. But you got a nice... So this has been sitting for a good 30, 45 seconds. You still have maybe an inch of foam on the top. Ooh, that smells weird.
Does it? Man, sometimes these coffee bean stouts are really good, but...
It smells like there's like a jalapeno or a pepper, like a spicy pepper in it.
Interesting.
Which, I don't know.
Yeah, not for a coffee bean stout.
That's, I don't think it's my glass.
Probably not.
It's like, I don't. So, okay, I'm going to taste this now. I don't know what the hell they're talking about with any of that labeling. So it doesn't taste like a stout. I'm not getting coffee beans. It smells like a chili pepper.
What did they do to it?
Like, what did you
What
do?
is it?
Maybe that's why it's wax top. Like, don't open that. Don't open it.
Right? I mean, they'll just collect it.
Dear
they won't even
God. Yeah. All right, you got. I'm even trying to like dig for the maltiness. Maybe there's a little bit. You got a little bit of that kind of like chalky malty thing going on.
Yeah.
But it's so hard to get past this just like funky. It's not like a skunked smell, but it's just so hard to get past the smell when you're drinking it. I'm just gonna drink straight out of the bottle. Maybe that.
Weird. So strange when beers just go so far off the rails like that.
Yeah, legit. Not getting any real coffeeness, but I definitely taste a bit of like pepper to it. Maybe they put the wrong beer in. Like,
You just
like,
mislabeled it.
yeah, it's like, dude, you put the wrong sticker on this bottle.
So weird.
Sweet Jesus, yeah. Okay. Grand Canyon Brewing Company, pass on the coffee bean stout because this is just like sweet Jesus. I don't.
Oh man,
Ugh. That
what
one's
do they do?
like, how do you mess up a coffee bean stout, man? It's pretty straightforward.
Seriously.
I mean, stouts, they're,
Generally, they naturally have the coffee sort of built in
yeah. So
most of the time.
yeah, man. I saw that that New Mexican like Java stout that I sent you. I mean, that one is one of the best coffee stouts I've ever had. The Santa Fe Java stout. It's freaking amazing. And most
Really
of the
good.
beers I've had in this area, I would not put the word freaking amazing in front of it, but that one, I don't know what they figured out, but they know what they're doing. They need a Grand Canyon needs to call Santa Fe and figure out what the heck's going on.
Right.
Ugh, okay, I'm just going to be drinking more of my peanut butter milk stout for the time being.
Oh man.
Put the wax back on.
Right.
Okay, so we I will not be drinking that for St. Patrick's Day.
No.
But
No.
with that coming up, we're trying to figure out how did St. Patrick's Day become like a major drinking holiday in the States? Like, where did that come from? Like, I mean, it's like we
Yeah,
just
like why? I mean, it's just weird to me, right? I don't really remember St. Patrick's Day being such a giant deal until probably college for me.
right, yeah. I think maybe you'd
But
wear
even then, like-
green in like growing up. You go to
Yeah.
elementary school. Like if you didn't wear green, you get pinched or punched or something. I don't know. Somebody was gonna do something to you.
Right. It was not going to be good, whatever it was.
Yeah.
But why though? Why do we have this like such this like love affair with St. Patrick's Day?
I put St. Patrick's Day and Cinco de Mayo together because neither of them have anything to do with the United States. Like there's just nothing
None.
at all involved. But we love to drink it for some reason. I don't know if it was like Guinness and the other beer companies were like, okay, let's make it a reason to drink. Almost like how you have these like every day is like National Pizza Day or National Ice
Yeah,
Cream Day.
right.
It's like the the milk organization was like, all right, we got pizza sales kind of slumping. We gotta get a reason to people to buy milk and cheese. So it's Cheese Day. Woo! So I don't know if like if
Right.
Guinness was like the very first people to do that. Like, okay, we need to sell some more Guinness in the States. No one's buying it. So let's just start advertising it as a drinking holiday. And honestly, I have no idea. Like
It's
because
caught on. I mean, I guess any country's sort of trying to increase their stake in the States. Just make up a drinking holiday. We'll
Right.
adopt it.
right. So okay, I have something that we need to start doing. We need to make Boxing Day a giant drinking day. That we should try to
Yes.
start that. We're gonna make Boxing Day, which is parts of other British Commonwealths like Canada and Australia, or whatever. Let's
Yeah,
try to
yeah,
turn
yeah.
that into just a giant drinking holiday.
We're gonna need our listeners' help for this, but yes, we need to do this.
And of course the thing is it's the day after Christmas, so I don't know if that's necessarily the best day. That might be tricky.
I don't think there's a better day then.
That is true. Okay, yeah, fair enough. You probably had the day off anyways, but
Yeah, can you imagine like if that actually becomes like a giant drinking day? You would have essentially like Christmas Eve tends to be a big drinking day for
Yeah.
some people.
yeah,
Christmas itself is a bit of the all right, let me just recoup for like Christmas Eve shenanigans slightly. And then you get Boxing Day,
yeah,
and that just sets it up for like New Year's coming right around the corner.
yeah. I mean, it's called Boxing Day. Think how many like tie-ins we could do with that.
Right.
I feel like this is our mission. We're gonna turn Boxing Day into the next great not American, but turned American drinking day because we need more.
Yes.
We need more.
Right. We do. We need more. So Boxing Day 2018 is going to be a huge drinking day for two dudes in a six pack.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if it'd be great if we could find a drinking day for like May or something, but we'll if we can figure something out, we'll find it. But yeah, for
Right.
now, I don't know if there's something like a big Indian holiday that we can kind of put together. But Boxing
What
Day,
do Indians drink? What do they really drink over there? Aren't they kind
um,
of anti-alcohol?
I think it just depends. I mean, you got Kingfisher, which is I think a giant
Okay.
beer. It's a very just kind of one of those skunky beers that comes in the light green bottles.
Yeah.
It is a terrible
Typical
tasting beer.
of that.
But Kingfisher,
yeah.
they I mean they have like a racing team, they have a soccer team, you know, everything's Kingfisher over in I think it's named after like a fish or a bird. I think it's a bird actually. It was at least on the
It might be a
label.
bird. But like with the spice palette over there, you'd think there'd actually be some pretty decent beers coming out of there.
Right. Yeah, you would think so. Why is that?
I mean, I think you could do a lot of different things with like allspice and everything else. I
One
don't
would
know.
one would think. Man, so
Lazy.
I just typed in big world holidays into Google, and all the search responses came up in Thailand language, like really weird Asian writing. I'm like, what?
What?
That's not how that's supposed to go.
No, man. You gotta check your firewall.
Yeah, what's going on here?
What's happening?
Okay, St. Lucia Day is in December, Christmas, Kwanzaa. I don't think the two of us could get away with the drinking Kwanzaa holiday.
Probably not. No.
Mardi Gras. Oh man, oh no, that's a Muslim holiday, so we probably can't do that.
Oh yeah, we definitely can't turn that into a boozing holiday.
Okay, here we go. Let's see. Here's a holiday called Songkran. It's in Thailand. There we go. It's a special 3 days. We got 3 days.
Oh yeah, these are my favorite ones.
Winter Festival, April 13th through 15th. It marks Songkran, the Buddhist celebration of New Year. So it's basically like Buddha's New Year. So we're drinking like New Year's, but in the middle of April.
Here you go. I like it. Songkran.
Yeah. We got Oban in Japan. Ramadan. I don't think we could. I don't think we can drink for Ramadan. I think that's about as sacrilegious as you get.
Yeah. Yep. We don't want to be disparaging the holiday necessarily.
Yeah, but I definitely feel like Boxing Day. That's gonna happen.
Yes.
We got a year. Or we got
Yes.
like 10 months to turn this into something huge.
All right. Boxing Day 2018
Yeah,
will be the time.
and we're gonna remind you guys every single episode of Boxing
Yes.
Day. So spread the news.
coming
We're
up.
turning Boxing Day into the, and so it started here on Two Dudes in a Six Pack.
Right. Exactly. Remember it.
Yeah, yeah. But do you have any other like drinks that you like to drink on St. Patrick's Day while we're talking about St. Patrick's Day?
Yeah. Right. I mean, so I did the green beer thing in college. I can't do it nowadays. It's typically like, what is it? Usually a keg of Coors Light with a ton of green food coloring in it.
I think it's usually whatever keg's about to go bad. They just put something green in it.
Right.
We'll sell it.
Right. Yes. So I don't do that. I have a hard time with the Guinness unless I can find the right kind of Guinness.
Right.
And it's got to be the Nitro Stout, which you had a hard time finding, I think, the last time we were talking.
Right. You gotta do if you're buying it for yourself, you gotta get the nitro cans. The bottles do not give it it doesn't have the widget really, so you don't get that same creaminess.
Right.
If you're gonna go
No.
to Irish pub, but they gotta pour it right, which is also
You gotta
sometimes a
pour it
problem.
right. It is a problem. I was just gonna go there too because nowhere here can they pour a legit pint of Guinness, and there's like an art to this thing.
Yeah, like every pour takes like 90 seconds or maybe it's 2 minutes, but it's like a very
It's-
specific length of time to pour it.
Yeah, you wait to get this thing right. I had what was that Irish pub in East
Claddagh?
Lansing? Yeah, Claddagh Irish pub in East Lansing. I don't know if it's still there.
I
hope
believe it is. I think it is.
Okay, all right. So they do a good job. They do
Yeah.
a really nice job. And the atmosphere is kind of nice. You know, when I was in East Lansing, that was pretty much as I got older and away from the green beer kegs. My St. Patrick's Day was basically go to Claudia.
Right.
Did some good Irish fare food wise,
Uh-huh.
which is not saying a lot because Irish food is really not that great.
Right.
No offense, Ireland, but you know, it's a lot of sauerkraut and a lot of potatoes.
Yeah.
Pretty much covers the entire dish.
Hopefully you're not on the Atkins diet because you're screwed.
Yeah, because you're totally, you're starving to death
Yeah.
if you're in,
Yeah.
in Ireland. But I do like a good shepherd's pie.
Yeah.
And I'll try to be being more of a whiskey guy. I try to make it more of a Jameson kind of day,
Uh-huh.
and I like a JMO and coffee, or just straight up. That's sort of like more my speed.
Okay, nice.
Cool thing happened actually. I was on a business trip in Chicago on St. Patrick's Day, and in Chicago, like, it's huge. St. Patrick's Day is basically like a Super Bowl day.
Yeah.
And we went into this pub, and the service was just atrocious. But I used to 10 bar for a little bit, so I get it. Like, I know what it means to be like super busy. And they had one dude running this bar,
Oh,
and this bar
jeez.
was maybe like 200 feet long. It was
Uh-huh.
huge. And so the guy felt bad for us, and he just comped us like 3 fingers worth of JMO, and I was like,
Nice.
you didn't even need to do that, but I'm gonna, I made sure that
I'll
I made
drink
it
it.
back up on the hip side, right? I'll
Uh,
drink it and then help him out, a little bit. But like, I wasn't even mad that we weren't getting great service because,
Right.
like, St. Patty's Day, dude, I get it, man. Like, you're busy, but I don't know what his name is or where we were at, so I can't help with a shout out. But good karma his way for
yeah.
sure.
I'm sure he's listening. I'm sure
Yes,
he's
he
listening.
knows exactly what we're talking about. Yep. He's like, that's me.
Yes.
Talking about me right now.
Yes. Woo! Did you see that Jameson? They have some special release whiskeys coming out where they did a couple where they had it sit in different kind of beer casks. Like one they did in an IPA cask naturally, and another they did in a stout cask. And I actually really want to try
Oh,
this
no, I
Jameson in the stout cask. I think that could. I feel like that makes sense.
It'll be really good.
Yeah, you put
Yeah.
it in your Guinness cask or whatever. I feel like the putting it in the IPA is kind of like, why? That's very American.
know
Maybe you're
what it's
trying to
gonna
get
do.
make it bitter. Do you really want like a bitter taste to your whiskey? Ugh.
Ow.
I feel like the stout can add. I don't know. We'll see. I might grab the stout one. I've seen it for like $30, which for whiskey's not terrible. So
Not terrible. No.
I wish they'd put it in like the smaller bottle because usually you can get like the pint. If they got that in the pint for like $15, I'd totally buy it just to test it out.
Oh yeah.
But
Yes.
so are you a shooter of Jameson or do you sip it?
I guess it would depend.
Uh-huh.
Preference with like the right kind of company, it's more of a sipping.
Right.
Me, just sip it. But the St. Patrick's Day, like out somewhere, Jameson, I usually would just shoot it.
Yeah. I'm about the same way. You can't really sip Jameson while you're sitting out on like a patio while you're at St.
People are going
Patrick's Day.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. Although it's those mixing those shots with your beer, that's what gets you, man.
It is. It is. Yeah, that's where you always kind of end up in trouble. I don't think I've ever really, when I order Jameson, it's usually either as a shooter or in something like coffee.
Right.
If I'm going to sip it neat, I typically, nothing against, Jameson because it's a good whiskey, but I go with, I like other things besides Jameson.
I agree. I usually go with the Scotch, like a single malt
Yeah.
Scotch. I'm a fan of.
Yep. For me, I like, what is it? I like Bullet,
Okay, the bourbon.
which I think is a rye. Yeah, or
Yeah.
a bourbon. Yeah. And actually, there's like there's a Japanese whiskey that's actually really good.
Okay, yeah.
Um,
I think I'm actually like allergic to rye whiskey. And whenever I drink it, the next morning my throat's all closed up and everything. So
Yeah.
I pretty much just don't drink the rye stuff now, just because I don't want to wake up
No.
being like, I can't breathe. I can't breathe, bro.
Right, right. I think it's Hibiki Harmony whiskey.
Okay.
I think that's really good if you can find it.
Yeah.
We used to stock it at this bar I used to tend bar for a short while.
Okay.
So like sometimes our shift drinks, like I would just take top shelf stuff and pour a couple, you know, uh, maybe a double of that and sip that at the end of the night while you're cleaning stuff up. I mean, why not, right?
Right. Yeah. Might as well.
It's on hand. Might as well.
Yeah. Might as well drink it, man. It's funny.
Right,
I feel
right.
like as you age, the liquor you drink gets darker. Like when you first start drinking, it's clear you're drinking the vodkas because it's cheap.
Right. The rum,
Yeah.
the Bacardi rum is clear. The vodka is clear.
Yeah. And then just
5 o'clock gin, probably.
5 o'clock gin. Yeah, the pop off. That's just
Yeah,
the half gallon of pop off with the Quality Dairy orange juice, which doesn't even taste like orange juice. It's just
Yes,
you're just
yes.
punching your stomach repeatedly. But and then as you get older,
right.
I feel like the liquors, at least for me, get darker. But especially since you're getting aged stuff, so it's darker from sitting in barrels for longer. Although I still kind of mix in some gin during the summertime. I feel like some gin drinks during the summer are fantastic.
I'm growing back into gin. I fell off of it for a long time,
Uh-huh.
but the right gin is good.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I'm trying to think. I just had some kind of a gin. No, it wasn't straight martini. I can't even remember what it was, but I think it was cucumber based. And whenever I see
I was
cucumber,
gonna say that, man. Cucumber
anything,
with gin is actually really good.
yeah, it's so refreshing. I will almost if I see a cocktail with cucumber in it, I will almost always just at least try it because I really like that fresh, like taste that cucumber provides. And so,
Yep.
I don't know. I'm a big fan. If you can get like a nice, I had one of the best. It was in Miami. One of the best gin cucumber martinis, and it was fantastic. And it was like a little, like the bar. I don't even know if you'd call it a bar. Is like one guy standing behind this like countertop that might have been like 4 or 5 feet long, like so small. But they made like over 200 different kinds of martinis. And like this one guy made over 200 martinis, and one of them was this gin cucumber thing, and it was just, you could taste the gin, but I always like, some gins go really heavy on that piney taste. Others aren't quite as heavy with that, but man, sometimes in the summertime, I'm a fan of that.
I'm with you on the cucumber. This one, the last one that I had, I don't think it had gin in it.
Mm.
But it didn't. It did not. It was a Pim's cup with
Okay.
cucumber,
Okay.
and it was like really, decent. I think it had some citrus in there.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the whiskey was. It was at a bar called Low Bar here in Traverse City,
Okay.
and it was decent. It was super refreshing, and this was like in the wintertime too, like legit winter when there's still a bunch of snow. We've kind of gotten a bit of a thaw lately, but
Right.
it just kind of brought you back. Like summer's around the corner, like it was decent. So yeah, I'm kind of with you. I see cucumber in a drink. When I was younger, I probably would have never touched it, but
Yeah.
nowadays it's like that could be kind of good.
Yeah. There's actually at a bar in Lansing called The Exchange. They have a cucumber martini, which I always liked. It's called the Good Fortune, or whatever. It came with a fortune cookie in it as the garnish. But
Nice.
yeah, I dug it, and they use like the Hendrix gin. So they use some decent gin.
Yeah, Hendrix is good.
And the bartender knew me, so I'd usually get a sweet little discount if I paid at all.
Nice. Right? Oh, also like a sweet benefit.
Yeah, yeah. But so yeah, look for cucumbers. It's just one of my bits of advice. Get a cucumber
Right.
cocktail. You won't regret it. And if you do, don't ever go to that bar ever again because they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, yeah. Either that or grow up like 5 years and then come back.
Yeah, that's true too. All right, man. You ready for your brewski number 3? I know I am.
Yeah, man, you had a
This is a
A
dud.
bummer one
That
last
was a
time.
dud, man.
It was. So I actually this session beer is holding up to its name because I didn't finish it in that segment, but that's okay. I'm gonna table it. So the last one that I have today, is from the North Peak Brewing Company. That's out of Traverse City, Michigan. Something I haven't had there. Full disclosure, no offense to North Peak, I'm not a huge fan of this brewery. But I appreciate them for a few different reasons. They bottle their beers in like the little medicine bottle kind of thing, which I kind of
Okay,
like. Stubby
nice.
little thing, so it's kind of classic.
Okay.
They do okay. There's a few of them that are decent. I picked this one up because it sounded kind of interesting. It also packs a bit of a punch. It's called Mellow,
Okay.
and it's a cherry hibiscus. So I'm interested about this cherry hibiscus. I'm hoping it's gonna be super mild, kind of on the refreshing side. But it's got a 7.0 ABV, which
Oh,
I
man.
found to be kind of, yeah, interesting. So, ending on a high note,
Yeah.
so to speak, with this. But yeah, so I'm gonna give this a shot. Again, never had this one before, but let's see. Not really any kind of aroma.
That's always
To
weird when
speak
that
of,
happens.
which is-
Yeah.
Yeah, super weird. Yeah, that's not bad. It's not like man, how would I describe it? It's malty for sure,
Okay.
with a bit of like a Sam Adams cherry wheat sort of
Oh,
feel
okay.
to it,
Yeah.
kind of. But it's more toasty than it is fruity, if that makes any kind of sense.
Okay. I think I get that.
Yeah, it's heavier than I would have liked. Probably would have been better starting with this one and ending with the shock top because that one was so light.
Oh, okay.
But I'm not like hating it, but I'm not blown away by it either.
Right.
It's not like flooring me into be like, oh, this is amazing.
Uh-huh.
It's like I get it. It's basically, it's not a bad beer with a bit of that cherry flavor in there.
Okay, so it's drinkable.
Mhm.
Well, I will be
Yeah. It's drinkable.
I will be finishing mine with a beer that I know is drinkable. Since the place I had was very limited in the stouts that I could pick up, I basically grabbed all the stouts that they had. And this one I've had before. It's been a long time since I've had this. Probably too long since I last had this. But this is Samuel Smith's Oatmeal Stout. And probably the most
Yes.
recognized oatmeal stout, if I could step out and say that. But Samuel Smith
David
might...
Smith's oatmeal stout.
Yeah, they might be the best UK all-around brewery.
Yeah, I like them a lot.
So, and I like their glass bottles. It's got that Samuel Smith printed, like, or raised into the glass. It's just super old-fashioned. It's got the like the tinfoil wrapping over the bottle.
Yep.
They give you 1 pint, 2.7 fluid ounces, so they give you a little extra after you finished when you thought your pint's finished. No, you got almost 3 more ounces
Right.
left of beer. Surprise.
Oh,
So I pour it, and of course it's got a little head. Gonna wait for that to go down. I'd love to see some of these Samuel Smiths with nitrogen. I know that'll never happen. They're very old school.
they're very old school, but that would be really good.
Yeah. There's certain beers where you're just like, man, if this was nitrogen infused, this could be great. Although,
Yeah,
there is
so
a way you could nitro infuse your own beer at home.
Interesting.
There's actually, you can get, those like whipped cream canisters that you get, and they use the little Whip It nitrogen containers. that you
Yeah,
you kind of
yeah.
make your own whipped cream. You can actually, instead of putting milk into this, you can put any other liquid in, including beer. So you could pour your beer into that if you have it, and then pour from the container, the whipped cream container, into a glass, and you'll be infusing it with nitrogen. It won't be to the quite the same extent as what you'd get at the store, but you're still pumping nitrogen into it, so you will get a bit of a creaminess to it if you want to go that way. Because I know I have
Right.
stuff for doing that with coffee. So if you like those cold nitrogen coffees, have you had one of those before? A nitrogen coffee?
I've not had a nitrogen coffee. No.
It's like kind of like a Guinness, but just coffee. It's pretty
Nice.
freaking good. It just adds a little extra
Yeah, I'm
creaminess to it.
definitely on board for
Yeah.
that.
You gotta. I mean, there's only you probably have to go to like a locally owned coffee shop. They're more likely to have it. I don't think Starbucks does that. There's just too much extra
Right.
stuff. But all right, this is poured. Let's take a sip. It does not smell like chili peppers.
A good sign.
Oh man, there's just a good beer as soon as it touches your mouth. It's just it's not too
There's
heavy.
those
It's
beers
not
like
too,
yeah.
I'm always interested with the oatmeal stuff because you're like, I don't really taste any oatmeal. But
Right.
it's, I don't know. It's just got like a little bit of that raisiny kind of flavor to it. You got a little bit of that kind of barley-esque bit to it, but nothing's overpowering. Everything just kind of like lingers together perfectly.
Just works.
Yeah, it just
Um,
works. Yeah.
I don't often buy the Samuel Smith beer, but when I do though, it's one of those beers where it's just like it's super relaxing when you have one. It's
Yeah,
like, man,
relaxing is the
this is
perfect
really
word.
good.
That is like as soon as I sipped it, I was like, I could just like sit down in a leather chair and read a book or something.
Yeah.
Like, it's like that's exactly like the feeling. I think I was still just kind of pent up over my whatever the hell the Grand Canyon thing was. So
Right.
I'm still perplexed by that.
They must have made a mistake.
Maybe I mean the weird thing is, at least I've noticed around here, I feel like a lot of times the beers are mislabeled, or just like I went to this brewery. Somebody was doing a show, and so I went to support, and I hadn't been there before, so I got like 2 different flights to just kind of sample all the beers since I'd never been there before. They had one like chocolate stout, which was great. They used it, and there was another porter, which is really good because they used a Mexican vanilla in it, which is a little different from regular vanilla.
nice.
And that one was like, so they're surprisingly in this Tucson, Arizona bar, the best beers were the darker beers. The IPAs were terrible. They smelled like marijuana and gym socks. And a lot of the other ones I just like, not a real fan of. But then I was writing like a blog post to review it, and I was on like the website because I couldn't remember all the names, right? At least of the kinds. And so when I was looking at the website, I was going through. I was like, "There's no way that beer is under that category." Like, absolute. Like I knew for a fact it couldn't be that, because there's like some beer that was made with like a tea, but they were labeling it as like an IPA on the website. It's like no, absolutely not. Like I don't know where this labeling is coming from, but I don't know if they're just like, just call it IPA, people will buy it. But
right, exactly.
but I don't know. But side note, before we get into the next topic, this will probably be the last episode we do that's just go straight to YouTube. The website should be up beginning of March, so you'll have an actual. You'll actually be able to listen to it on your phone and other device. Yeah, it'll be legit again, and then we'll be, putting our blog posts and other stuff on it. So that is coming a little later than I would have liked, but that's on me. But that'll be coming in the next couple weeks. So before the next episode launches, should have that up and ready. So just throw that out there while I was on the topic.
Yeah. That's awesome news.
Yeah, that should be so looking forward to that. But figure our last topic, we would do a little hodgepodge. I was listening to a different podcast, and they were talking about the New York Toy Fair that was going on. And the Toy Fair is kind of an exclusive thing where they show products to stores, trying to get them to stock their stores for the upcoming year. A lot of it, you got a lot of action figures for upcoming movies and there's other things. And I thought it'd be kind of cool if Chris and I just kind of went into the old toys and collectibles that we used to, or maybe still currently do, collect along the way, and if that's changed at all. Because I don't know, I feel like, I don't know, maybe it was different for guys and girls or something, but I know I used to collect a lot of stuff, or different kinds of things along the way. So, dating way back. So I don't know, do you have any, I guess we can start at our youngest ages and go up to currently, but what was that really first kind of thing you really got into that you just had to have?
I think the first thing for me was probably Lego stuff.
Okay.
I remember getting Lego sets at a really, young age and being kind of on the verge of obsessed with those things.
Yeah.
So, it was a lot of that castle stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This was back when Lego, they didn't have any licensing deals, so it was all just generic kind of things. But I think that was my youngest thing was probably a Lego series.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I loved the castle stuff. I was so into all of that. You'd have I still remember when they finally released sets with the actual that green dragon. I was oh man, they got a dragon in it now. This is cool. Right. And just you had and there was different factions, whatever, that you could fight against each other. And there's so many different sets, and I just absolutely loved those things. You always knew it was good when you'd open the box and you had that big green rectangular thing that had the catwalk that led up to the raised thing, and it was always I don't know, there's so many just great Lego, and I don't know, that's by far one of my favorite. I still like Legos, but I remember growing up being why don't they have Star Wars Legos? This is stupid. Why? I don't understand.
I know. I actually I wish I still had this thing. But I remember, so what I used to do when I was a kid is I was actually paint my Legos to be custom. So I would paint the Superman logo on some, or the sports figures on some. I actually wrote Lego a letter when I was a kid, and they sent me a letter back. Good on them.
Nice.
And they, the letter, thinking back on this, I had no idea what it meant at all. But my question was, why isn't there a Detroit Red Wings Lego set, or a Detroit Tigers, Lego set? And the response back, I don't think I have this anymore, but they told me basically that they didn't have the rights to use that kind of stuff. So they were getting into this intellectual property stuff long before, I myself even knew really what that even was. But I just thought it was kind of cool, that they at least respond back and told me that'd be a great idea, but we can't do it because of these reasons. I'm still waiting for Lego to give me the royalty checks now that they started licensing stuff.
Yeah.
I think I started that whole revolution, but maybe not.
They're this 6-year-old kid in Michigan's brilliant. Let's steal his idea. It's yes.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. But we'll see.
Yeah. I know, so the castle stuff was my favorite. I had a few of the space stuff. I wasn't as much into the space ones, but
yeah, same here, same.
It was almost all, and then I had a couple pirate things, but again, not a lot of the pirates. I don't even think they make the pirate Legos anymore or anything
not
that.
Not the generic stuff. Now it would all be Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be the just straight up, nope, just pirates.
Some of those battleships were cool, man. The pirate ships were awesome. I kind of wish I had more of that pirate stuff now that I look back at it, because those are pretty cool. And they
were always.
Oops, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say that they merge perfectly with your castle stuff. Like you could actually put them together, kind of. It sort of makes sense.
Yep. They've always been expensive though, forever.
Oh, Legos are so expensive. Yeah.
Like even back then they were expensive. All those big sets, like the sweet ones, were just like way too expensive.
It's like $100. What?
Yeah,
Really?
right.
And I have to build it?
Right, exactly.
I'm doing your job.
Doing your job. It's like $5 worth of plastic in here.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Those jerks. But yeah, so I know, like, at the same time, I was really into Legos. I was really into, like, G.I. Joes was kind of a thing, too. Like, I
Yeah.
had to get the G.I. Joes. I had so many vehicles and guys, and just I don't know. That was, and not, like, the big G.I. Joe dolls like they had back in, like, when our parents were growing up. There's always, like, that 3 3/4 inch plastic figure with the rubber band that was holding
The rubber band,
Yeah,
right.
that way if you twisted the figure too many times, like the top would snap off of the bottom, and then you're just devastated because you have just like this ripped apart doll. But man, yeah, I loved the. Those are my mom used to have to bribe me to go to violin lessons by getting me a new GI Joe figure like every week.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, Snake Eyes is like my favorite G.I. Joe character.
Yeah, Snake
Love
Eyes
that
was
guy.
cool.
That guy was awesome. Um, I didn't grow up with a lot of G.I. Joes. Like, it seemed to me like so I had like the Lego sets, but I knew a kid that had all the G.I. Joe stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So like, it was kind of like this cohesive thing, right?
Right.
He would come over to play Legos here, but I would go over to his place to play like the G.I. Joes because he had like the big battle station thing and all the different big giant vehicles that they all fit into.
Yeah.
I mean, some of that stuff was like, there's all kinds of cool stuff on G.I. Joe front.
Yeah. One thing I loved
Yeah.
about the G.I. Joe thing, so they had this it was like a big vehicle, but then you could get side vehicles that were less expensive and would fit like one guy, and they would actually snap into this bigger vehicle. And so
Yeah.
it was awesome. So like you'd get all the side vehicles and you'd put it into I don't think I actually got the full size big one before. But there was so many different things, just like, oh man, going back, those vehicle sets were so cool. I love just having like battles in my room for hours. Just
Yes.
and then you just bring up random toys. You're like, oh, I got these Lincoln Logs. We'll build a fort out of the Lincoln Logs. And it's like, who gave me the Lincoln Logs? It's probably some stupid aunt or whatever. I don't know. And then you just I don't know. You're building crazy sets. I don't know if kids do that anymore, but I don't know.
But they should, man. That was always like the best part of growing up was probably just like the mix up between all the different stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. You really did do like the Toy Story kind of thing where you're just grabbing random toys and doing different stuff. Granted, Andy from Toy Story had some pretty lame ass toys. I mean, I'm just going to put that out there. His toys kind of
did.
sucked. Like, he started to upgrade with Buzz Lightyear and that was it. He stopped. Like, that was.
And even Buzz like was pretty much like a gas station knockoff of a space figure.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, okay, so you got a pull string Woody doll and this thing and a
A
slinky.
little Bo Peep for some reason.
Yeah. Andy, go talk to your mom. She's getting you the wrong kind of toys. See, if Andy's mom wouldn't have cheated on Andy's dad and left him, he would have had some cool ass toys. But no, Andy's mom left Andy's dad, and who knows what happened to Andy's dad. But or
It's
maybe
mom's fault.
yeah, we're blaming it on the mom because the dad seems to get blamed every other time. So we're blaming it on the mom. So Andy's dad did not just leave them and just peace out.
Right. Did you ever play with anything called Food Fighters?
Oh man, a little bit, but it was never. I think I was so into GI Joes. A lot of the other action figure kind of things, I just didn't go for.
Yeah, we're just sort of like weird. This is like one of those fringe things that I like kind of collected growing up.
Okay.
Was the food fighter thing. So it's a weird thing because it was like pieces of food with army helmets and muscle arms and legs for some reason.
Uh huh.
And they were just big giant plastic, even kind of like squishy kind of things. I remember having I had like a burger and a piece of pizza and I think maybe some fries or something like that.
Uh huh.
I don't know why like I like these things. And they rode around in like this plastic egg carton thing that shot I think they were supposed to be like tomato rings. It was
Right.
just like a big giant red with red like circle with like uh, that little like fin in the middle of it.
Uh-huh.
For whatever reason, it's just like a just total just nonsense. Um, and I had a bunch of those things. I used to love those things.
Oh, yeah, man. There's so many. They probably had some like McDonald's deals too, where you get the McDonald's toys. They had to have had some kind of deal with a fast food restaurant at some point.
Oh, I'm sure they did. I'm sure they did. But
But-
yeah, the other thing that I was a big collector of was this. We've kind of hinted at this on the show, but just comic books in general.
Uh-huh.
Like I didn't inherit because my dad's he didn't like bequest them to me, but he gave them to me at some point. But like when I was little, like he had these boxes of comics, and they were just in these giant bags,
Uh-huh.
and they no real rhyme or reason for them. And I took some time to like put them in individual bags and backings and all the other stuff, and just kind of started to care for them.
Right.
But like that's what like he used to read those to me and my sister like when we were going going to go to bed or something. He'd have us pick out like a comic book or something. So I've forever have like collected these comics, and I guess that's probably the one thing that I still kind of collect,
Uh-huh.
from that era.
Yeah.
Even though they're worth nothing now. They're not worth anything now.
Right. You might have one or two that are worth something where like characters were first introduced, but for the most part, it's
Yeah,
just like
for the most part, they increase in value, but only at the pace of inflation.
right. Yeah. That's
So
true.
like when it cost me like $2 back in fifth grade or whatever to buy a Spider-Man comic book, whereas nowadays it'll cost you $5.
Mm-hmm.
All of the ones from the fifth grade days are now worth $5.
There you go.
so-
There you go.
They didn't lose value, I guess, but they didn't gain anything.
Right. That's kind of like, yeah,
There's no way you're selling.
I was big into collecting like baseball and football cards, mostly baseball cards, but it's just like collecting, being, I'm going to retire and be rich off of all these baseball cards. Moo-ha-ha.
Right.
Like I loved just, trying to collect $1.05. So I go down to the local like gas station and grab a pack of cards. Every gas
Yeah.
station used to have baseball and football card packs. I don't think they have,
Yep.
they don't do that anymore. Like
No,
you have to go to a special section in the grocery store just for cards, and usually there's some kind of crazy like Japanese card game that I don't understand. But
Right.
it's like they got so mass produced and so overpriced that just everyone stopped buying them, and so they're worthless now unless you have a card from like the 50s that has a Lou Gehrig on it or something. It's just gonna be pointless. It's just like, sorry, your cards are worth nothing now.
Right. Right. It's kind of depressing, man. Like all the money that that was like hard-earned money when I bought a pack of like baseball, or I was like one of the hockey kids too, which is
Uh-huh.
even worse. Like those things aren't worth anything nowadays.
Right. Of course, there's like that so I got so many like Star Wars toys, and I got it in my head early that if I just don't ever play with these and enjoy them, they'll be worth they'll be worth so
Right.
much money when I'm older. So I would buy the action figure, kind of enjoy looking at it in the package, but never open it. So I have like
Yes.
boxes back at my mom's house. I probably have like 70 action figures still in the package, still in the box. I think I have a couple vehicles still in the box. I have so many just random things still in the box. And there might be two that are, okay, maybe worth something. Everything else is just like, dude, you should have just played with it as a kid, man, because
You had more fun with it.
that thing is worth nothing now.
Nothing.
I think I was getting into the action figures for Star Wars stuff right at that fringe time where you're not really playing with toy action figures that much anymore. It's just kind of it's on like that tipping point where you're like maybe you are, but you don't want any of your friends to know about it. So you kind of because that's not cool, and so you're kind of like, well, I'm collecting them. See, I'm obviously not playing with them if they're still in the box. So
Yes. Now it's
so-
just a collection.
yeah.
It's not a toy anymore.
Yeah, now I could probably go to some store, some secondhand store, and sell most of them for like $3 a pop. Or something
Right.
ridiculous. I don't know. Maybe one of these days I'll get a magazine and price them out and see if anything's worth anything, but probably not.
The crappy thing is even if you go to sell it, they lowball you so hard on whatever they're willing to give you. Like they'll sell it for what you see on the internet.
Right.
But what you actually got for that thing is like way, way low.
Oh, yeah. And like, unless you have some super rare deformity figure that's like, there's like 4 of them.
Yeah,
there's no other way you're going to get any money for it, which is
No.
too bad. It's like, I might as well just keep that box crate somewhere. And then like, maybe when I have kids, give them here, you open them. At least you can play with them. Because then I can like gift them and wrap them and they'll be like, oh, wow, it's still in the box. Like, yes, you don't even know that I'm just re-gifting stuff I bought 30 years ago. Like,
Right.
like, muahaha. But, or I don't know.
Genius.
Yeah, just not tell your kid that you have all this Star Wars stuff until they're older and you give it to them. Like, wow. And then they just ruin it and you find out you actually did have stuff that was valuable. But,
Right. That'll be the you'll give them to them, they'll open them, and that's when it's going to be worth like the thousands of bucks.
it's
whatever
like
it is.
ripping $100 bills in half with every just box opening. Just
Exactly.
no.
Exactly.
But yeah, and I have of course I will still buy the random Star Wars toy. I don't buy the action figures really, but I'll still buy the random Star Wars thing. Nowadays.
Yeah.
You know, I will
I think I do the same thing.
sometimes I'll buy like the certain Funko Pops. Those are kind of
Yep.
like funky looking. And, I mean, they're just different. I like that. Or sometimes I'll get the like the little like cast iron, or not cast iron, but the ships. If they look cool, that you just kind of put on like a little plastic peg that you kind of set somewhere. Sometimes those are
Yep.
kind of cool. I used to think there were these. These are some of my favorite toys that were towards the end when I was getting into the Star Wars like box, you know, not opening anything, but they were the ships, but they were larger than your regular kind of Hot Wheels toy, whatever. They're actually, you know, probably a little about the size of your hand, maybe a little larger, and that those were the perfect size. You could display them, and they don't make that size of thing anymore. I don't even know what they were called now. But
Yeah.
I absolutely loved, like, I had like the Boba Fett Slave 1, and you had like the tie interceptors and everything. And I would just, my whole room was just Star Wars toys. And so,
Oh man, those things were awesome.
yeah.
You know, there's actually a tabletop game out there right now that does something similar. Not quite the same thing, but similar at least in terms of scale.
I think I know the
They weren't
game
like-
you mean, yeah.
Yeah, like a X-wing fighter or something like that.
Yeah, like I know they sell a lot of that at like Barnes and Noble and stuff.
Yeah,
those
but
sets.
like the Millennium Falcon is like to scale against like the X-wing,
Okay.
and then everything's to scale against like the TIE fighter.
Okay.
You know, so like when you set it all up on like a tabletop, it actually kind of would look sort of like, yeah, these are kind of like the relative sizes of this stuff.
Right.
You know, TIE fighters are really small, the slave one's really kind of big,
Yeah.
you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So if you could have random question, if you could own one spaceship, if we lived in the Star Wars universe and you had to own one ship, what would you be flying?
Ooh, man, that is a great question. Boy, I'd have to give it a little bit of thought. Immediately, like knee-jerk reaction, kind of goes to Millennium Falcon.
Right. Yeah, you got some extra
But
space.
that's mainly because, yeah, and then like the crew of it too, right? Just like, it's got some like cool history.
Right.
Han Solo, Chewbacca, Lando Calrissian,
Uh-huh.
like all these like crazy cool bounty hunter type guys had it. It
Uh-huh.
flies, super fast, even though it looks kind of like total like garbage. Um, uh, but personally, I always thought it looked pretty sweet. I think everybody kind of does, anyways. But
Yeah.
oh man, yeah, that's like a really good question. You know what I always kind of liked?
What's that?
It was like the tri Imperial cruiser thing or transport. The thing that looked kind of like a triangle,
Oh,
with,
with
like
the
the big
wings
fin.
the wings that would go up like as it flew.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
yeah, the
yeah,
Imperial
yep.
shuttle. Yeah,
Shuttle, that's what it was.
that
The
thing was
Imperial
cool. Yeah.
shuttle. I don't know why I liked it, but I just kind of like I always kind of like dug it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking back to like the Rogue Squadron days
Ah,
on
yeah.
the N64.
Hmm.
Remember the one the shiny cruiser thing that they flew, I think, in Phantom Menace? That thing was kind of
Oh,
cool.
yeah, yeah, those were cool. Like most of that, yeah, the Phantom Menace starships were sweet.
Yeah,
I always
movie was something different, but the spaceships were cool.
I always thought if they gave the slave one like a black paint job, so it was all just like murdered out black. I feel like that thing would
Yeah, that'd be pretty sweet.
that'd be sweet. I mean, I like
You
that
know
they
who had a kind of oh, go ahead.
I like that in the newer movies they've given all the bad guys like black spaceships, so they have like basically like the black version of the Imperial shuttle. So I thought those were kind of cool
Yeah,
looking. But yeah, what were you gonna say?
IG-88 had a kind of a sweet ship.
I'm trying to think, what was his ship?
Um,
I'm drawing a blank on
I
that.
don't think I think you kind of only see it if you had like I think he was in like some cartoons or something like that. But I
Okay.
think he had kind of like a neat looking ship.
Uh huh.
It was like sort of like a blocky, um, and just kind of looked kind of mean looking.
Right.
But some of those bounty hunters, like you almost had to like pay attention to. Okay, so this is another thing that I collected growing up
Uh huh.
was the Star Wars collectible card game.
Okay.
I don't know if you ever saw that,
I did.
but
Yeah.
basically, like most of my friends were playing Magic, and if I had been smart, I would have just bought the Magic cards because those things are worth like
Oh yeah.
obnoxious amounts of money right now. But I put my money into Star Wars collectible card game.
Uh
Nobody played it, and I still can't to this day. I still got a ton of cards, and nobody will ever play it. So I've got this like bounty hunter ship
huh.
in there, but sometimes the ships that like they didn't really made the movies. You had to follow like some of the other stuff.
Right.
That one was kind of cool. Oh, who's like the Bosk? I think
Oh,
the
boss.
lizard
Yeah,
looking
boss
guy.
the lizard dude. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he had a cool looking ship too.
Okay.
I think this one made Dark Forces. I think this was actually in the Dark Forces video game.
Okay.
It was pretty much kind of looked like a sand crawler in space a little bit,
Ah. Okay.
but it's kind of like what you're saying. It's all black.
Hmm.
It could look kind of like menacing.
So while we're talking about that stuff, have you seen the Han Solo trailer?
Yes,
So what's your take on it?
I like it. I think it looks good.
Yeah.
Um, I'm worried I'm gonna hate Han Solo as a young guy.
Yeah. I know
He
what you
doesn't really
mean.
say much in the trailer
Uh huh.
enough yet for me to kind of like get a good read on him.
Hmm.
But he's not Harrison Ford, so
Yeah.
I'm like,
It's so hard to redo somebody for Harrison Ford. I mean,
yeah,
they did that in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade with River Phoenix, and he did. I mean, kind of felt like young Indiana Jones there. And of course, they had Sean Patrick Flannery play it in the Indiana Jones Chronicles, which you eventually bought into it, but you have to buy into it right away, otherwise it doesn't work
right.
for the movie. So that's
I will
yeah.
say, Donald Glover as Lando Calrissian,
Oh, it looks
maybe the
perfect.
cast of the year,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. He
Complete.
he looks just perfect.
He does, and I like him anyway. Like
Uh-huh.
from Childish Gambino stuff to his stint on what was that TV show he was on for a long
Oh,
time?
Community.
Community. Community was good, at least from the seasons that I saw. Once it like left prime time, I didn't really pay attention to it
Right.
too much.
And it
I
does that.
haven't seen Atlanta, but I've
Yeah,
heard great
I
things
haven't
about
either,
it.
and I've heard good things too. So one of these days I'll I'll watch it.
But yeah, him as Lando, it's like that just makes so much sense.
Yeah, it makes too much sense. When they first
It does.
announced it, I was kind of like, I don't know, and then I saw, I was like, perfect, perfect,
Yes,
that's perfect.
right.
Of course, now you have.
And like, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say now you have the Mother of Dragons in it. So, what did you think of what's her face from Game of Thrones?
Right. Yeah, it's so weird because like she doesn't have like the blonde hair,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Like
Well,
it's
if she had blonde hair, it'd be like it'd be too connected to
too much.
Game of Thrones.
Too
It's
much.
like, I don't
Uh,
know.
I like her in Game of Thrones.
Right.
Uh, so full disclosure here, like I've read the books.
Uh
I
huh.
haven't stayed as up to date on the HBO series. I
Right.
think I only made it through maybe 3 seasons,
Okay.
so I'm a bit behind there.
Right.
But Daenerys is not my favorite character. I really don't like her in the book.
Well, in the book, she's like 13, isn't she? I mean, she's real
They're
young.
all young. They're all young in the book. And it's weird. It's so
Yeah,
weird.
it is weird. It's like the
R. R.
whole.
Martin needs to like check himself. It's so weird.
It's all yeah, just kind of like kid.
13-year-olds just banging.
Yeah,
It's weird.
it's family member. Like, it's really odd.
It's
Yeah,
so weird. And he's just gonna be like, well, I mean, back in the day, 13 was like 21. And I'm like, yeah, but in 2018, 13 is 13.
yeah, and you didn't have dragons back in the day and weird things going on.
No,
So you
just
could
make him adults.
you could have made them. Yeah, just give them 4 more years. Age everybody 4 more years. Make her 17. Fine, close enough, and they'll kind of accept it. But 13,
Yeah,
that's
right.
just like that's weird. That's
So
real
strange.
weird. I know, yeah, I've read the first one and kind of I had the second one on audiobook, but yeah, I'm glad I watched the HBO show first, otherwise I would have been so confused with the book because there's so many names and everything. I was like, I don't know what's going
Yeah.
on. But
No,
yeah, when you were going
I totally agree.
when they were going over the ages, I'm like, wait, what? No.
Yeah.
Why would you
Snow's
do
like
that?
13. They're all 13.
Yeah.
The only guys that are older is like Eddard Stark, and he dies in the first one.
Yeah.
All the actual main characters that make it out, like they're so young, it's ridiculous.
And even then, wasn't he
But-
in the book like 30? Like he was like younger than the TV character.
Oh, for sure, yeah, absolutely.
Like
I did the same thing, by the way. I saw the first couple episodes, and then got into the book series because I'd never heard of it before that.
right. Yeah. Yeah, that was.
But who is Kira? So she plays Kira in Solo.
I believe she is Han Solo's kind of like girl. At
The
the-
love interest,
yeah,
right?
love interest, at least at the beginning. Then I'm guessing he joins the Imperial Academy and they kind of fall apart. And I think it's probably going to be over like 2 different time periods. But you don't really, can't really see it in the trailer. But so in the trailer, you see him driving her in like a speeder, and they're like, it's almost like a car chase or whatever. And hanging from the speeder dash are those gold dice that you have
Nice.
in The Last Jedi.
Nice,
So you
yeah.
knew those were going to be. Apparently, one thing that I've heard or whatever was that the gold dice were to make an appearance in The Force Awakens. Back when Han Solo reclaims it, he was going to actually grab them and rehang them up. And this was when Ryan Johnson was writing the script for The Last Jedi. But then J.J. Abrams cut that scene. So I'm sure Ryan
man.
Johnson was like, really? Why would you do that? Now everyone's gonna be like,
Right.
"What is that?" Because I mean, those dice were in the original New Hope, but they were only in like a 5-second shot, and there was never any attention drawn to it. They were just there. So like I think a couple shots, if you look at the top of the screen, you can see them kind of dangling, but they're not. No attention's drawn to it. So
Yeah.
they are there, but I'm sure Ryan was like, "Oh man." I feel like those two directors are just trying to screw each other, just kind of like side jabs.
It's a weird battle, yeah. It's a strange thing happening right there, but the cast looks good for Solo, I think
Yeah.
they're good.
Yeah, So, and I think, so there's a shot of this dude. He has a very kind of Knights of the Old Republic mask with like almost like straw coming out of the back of his armor, and he's like in the desert, whatever. I'm gonna put
Yeah.
money on that guy being Boba Fett. I'm putting
Nice.
money on it.
Okay. Gotta be, right? He's got such a hard on against Solo.
Yeah,
It has to be, gotta be him somewhere in this movie.
yeah. I just feel like, yeah, he's got to be in that. Maybe you see a little Greedo action. I think Jabba's gonna pop up. You're gonna have some.
He's got to be in there too, yeah.
I mean,
yep.
You got to throw in some of these old school characters into this movie. Like, this is the perfect time to do it.
Is this gonna be a one-off, or is there gonna be other?
It sounds like just
Things
a
that follow.
one-off, at least for the time being. Maybe they're waiting to see how well it does. So I think there's a
Yeah.
lot of like, I don't know, man. We had a lot of
This will
problems
be their
making
first,
this.
like- yeah, right. They have, and this will be their first really like character piece.
Yeah.
You know, where it's like just revolving around a specific character, not just the. Are they gonna do a Luke and a Leia? Like, I doubt it, right?
I think they want to do like an Obi-Wan one, especially with Ewan McGregor
that'd be
being
cool.
an older age to be like a nice like that kind of time period, and people would buy into
He's,
it.
he's finally aged into
Yeah,
it.
yeah, he has aged into it. But I think they're waiting to see how this one does. Like if this one just tanks, I think they're gonna wait.
Who wrote this one? Is there any good team behind it?
Actually, yeah. What's his face? Lawrence Kasner or whatever, the dude that wrote Empire Strikes
Kasdan?
Back. Him and his
Yeah.
son wrote this one. So
Oh man, it could be really good.
So yeah, so they got whatever. Although, so speaking of writing for Star Wars,
Directed by Ron Howard, though.
yeah, he took over after the Lego guys just sucked.
Sucked, right?
But so episode 9, written by J.J. Abrams and his writing partner, I can't recall his name, but take a couple wild stabs at what movies this writing partner wrote.
For Abrams?
Yeah, that wrote episode 9 with Abrams.
Oh man, I don't. Star Trek?
No, he wrote the all-time classic Justice League and
Oh no.
Batman v Superman. Those
Oh,
all-time. Granted, he does have Argo on his credits, so he
Argo was
does
good.
have some.
Well, was Argo good because Spielberg was involved, or because it was written well?
I think Argo was good. I think for everything, I liked Argo.
Okay, I did too. I liked it.
But yeah, the fact when they started saying that, yeah, he wrote those movies, I'm like, man,
It's like, oh man.
that does not put any hope into me at all. Personally,
No.
I kind
No,
of would rather
me
have
neither.
Ryan Johnson do episode 9 than J.J. Abrams, personally. But that's
Yeah.
I don't know. I think enough people would have a heart attack if they saw Johnson directing it that maybe they needed a little break.
Maybe, but that's nonsense. They need to rewatch it now that they've had some time to settle down.
Right. I think for me, a lot of the problems people have with it, it's like, those problems you have with it are also problems that would have exist in the other movies too.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, exactly.
whatever. And for the people listening, I have not seen Black Panther yet, so we will talk about that. I have to put a new battery in my car, so I haven't had actually a chance to get to the the movie theater to watch it.
Yeah.
So when we do that, we can talk about it. We can talk about if the hype is really worth it, or if it's just people are excited that it's like finally movies with not just a bunch of white people in it. And if that's
Yes.
the reason why it's getting all the about freaking time kind of thing, kind of like Wonder Woman, like about freaking time there was a female head or whatever that was carrying the movie for a superhero movie. So
Yeah, right? It has a very similar trajectory to Wonder Woman. It really does.
So I will catch up on those movies although I fixed my bike so I can ride my bike to the theater. Maybe I'll try to catch that this week, and then so for the next.
Yeah, there you go. For next time, we'll see it. And maybe in the meantime, I'll try to see. For me, I'm always the kind of guy that I need to see these movies more than once. But I always have a hard time doing that in the theater. I'll
Right.
usually watch it in the theater, and then I'll wait till it comes out. So like I have not rewatched Wonder Woman, but I did buy it. I bought it for Berkeley.
Okay.
I think as either a Christmas gift or a birthday gift or something, or maybe just like bought it, whatever the hell. But I haven't rewatched it since
Okay.
I saw it in the theater, and I liked it when I saw it. And
Uh-huh.
I'll say the same thing about Black Panther. I liked it when I saw it. Now, granted, I'm a bit more of a long time Black Panther fan. This goes back to like the comic book collection. Like I have comic books that were the unfortunately named Jungle Action featuring the Black Panther from like the 1975, which would never fly. You could never have a superhero, a black superhero starring in a jungle action comic book.
Right.
But in 1975, you could. Now, to Marvel's credit, I will say this, and we won't get into it that much because, like you said, you haven't seen it yet, but um, they did do some progressive things. I don't think Marvel Comics, they've had a lot of faults, but some of the things that they've done, like they did champion, I think, a few decent minority-based heroes, Black Panther maybe being one of the bigger ones.
Okay.
The other one would probably have been the Falcon,
Okay.
who was in the Captain America books.
Right.
But back in those days too, in the 70s, it was split. You had Captain America and the Falcon, and it was, Aryan, blue-eyed, blonde-haired Steve Rogers, Captain America, Chris Evans, nowadays, standing side by side with the Falcon, the African American comic book character, and I think it worked pretty well. Like they played off of each other and respected each other, and it wasn't like a Batman Robin situation
Right.
by any means. Like it wasn't Batman bossing around Robin. Captain America wasn't bossing around the Falcon. It was like two legit, toe to toe kind of heroes a little bit.
Right.
The comics sucked. They all sucked back then, pretty much. Outside of like two series, like Spider-Man and some X-Men stuff, but for the most part, I'll go back and I'll read some of these things. And once the site's up, I want to do this. I want to actually like devote some time to putting some content on the site about some of these old books.
Right.
Because I like them from the standpoint of culturally where they were when they were produced.
Right.
But also for where they are as an industry nowadays too. It's surprising to me because some of them are just so bad. But I'll save that. I'll save that for another time.
Well, yeah, I'll try to catch up with everything, and then we'll get into that in the next episode, which should be on an actual podcast. Woo! And so
Yes,
we'll be able to do
nice.
that. And although for the time being, I'm excited that Star Wars The Last Jedi is being released in 4K, which means I have to buy a 4K TV and 4K DVD
Right.
player now. So thank you
Right,
very much,
yeah.
Lucasfilm, for making me drop another few $1,000s in the next few whatever. But,
Right, right.
So I don't know. I'll probably just get the 4K one, watch it on Blu-ray, and then eventually get to buy a new TV. But it's always,
I'm with you.
I got no problems. I got no beefs with my current TV. I've had it actually since like 2011, and it was like top of the line then, and it still looks good now. But it's not 4K.
Yeah, man. I think I remember that TV. Was that the TV you had when we were hanging out?
Well, I got a different one the TV I had when I was living at that loft in Lansing.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, that one was that was top of the line. And when I got it, I wanted because it's more just it was more than just resolution specs. I had to get the stuff with the right refresh rate and right color and all the
right.
whatever. So I was very particular. I haven't looked at new TVs in a while, so I don't even know. But it's kind of also, okay, I'll be moving in October. Do I really want to deal with more TVs to buy it or just wait until I'm in a new place and then get a new TV? But do I want to wait an extra 8 months to see Star Wars in 4K? I don't know. So many questions. So many
Such
questions.
a hard decision.
Oh, man.
So difficult.
Yeah. So, I don't know. We'll find out. But all right. So what was your favorite beer of the session?
Favorite beer was honestly the first one I had, that grapefruit one. I think it's mainly because I just like the grapefruit stuff, but it was light and refreshing
Okay.
and just different and not completely what I was expecting from the Shock Top.
Right.
So mainly because they didn't completely disappoint me and make me regret my purchase, I'm picking Shock Top. The rest of them were good. Like, it's not bad, but it just wasn't like I went into Shock Top thinking it was not going to be great.
Right. Well, that's always good when you're like, okay, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. So,
Right,
so
right.
for me, I'm going with Samuel Smith Oatmeal Stout. That was kind of, that was what's going to happen. I was hoping something else would be like surprise me enough so that I could at least say that it was like, okay, this one blew me away. It was way better than I thought. But the peanut butter thing was, was fine. There's nothing special about it, but it was drinkable. The other one was the Grand Canyon was not drinkable. That one was just I should send it back. It was that bad. It's like but anyways, yeah. So you can never go wrong with the Samuel Smith Oatmeal Stout, or anything Samuel Smith really. But so that is the clear winner for me. But yeah. Do you have anything else you want to toss in for the time being?
No, just like super stoked about the site that's coming up, and again, just teasing lots of exciting stuff. This year's it's gonna be good. It's gonna be a sweet year for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, stay tuned. I'll mention some stuff on the YouTube channel when the actual RSS feed goes up, so everyone knows. I'm gonna try my best to reconnect it with the previous RSS feed, so you don't have to resubscribe. But if that doesn't work, we will let you know. And I was gonna say something else, and I totally just blanked out. But and remember, Boxing Day 2018. It's happening.
Yes.
We will remind you every single time because we're going to turn that sucker out into a giant drinking day. So by the time we're like 50, it's going to be like the next national drinking holiday. So we got like a 20-year span here. We're realistic. But
Heard it here first.
I mean, heck, yeah. I mean, look at Seinfeld with the holiday that they created, the Festivus. I mean, Seinfeld created a holiday.
Right.
Why can't we? Why can't we? We're not even creating it. We're just turning it into a drinking day.
I like it.
But so all right, yeah. So for now, that's Chris. This is Grayson, and we will catch you guys all later. See ya.
Thanks for listening. All original music is by Kevin MacLeod and can be found at incompetech.com. If you can, please rate, review, and spread the word of Two Dudes and a Six Pack.